Welcome. So today what we're going to be working on is making some lasagna. And so the first part that we're going to work on is the filling for our lasagna. So we're going to be making ours with a beef base. You can use turkey, you can use ground turkey or various other different things like lamb as well. But the all important thing here is we want to sear off the meat before we start adding the sauces and other things. So I have a nice hot skillet over here ready to get started. As I'm putting this beef in here, I want that to start searing off nicely, so we sear in all of the flavour and all of the juices in there. Now that our beef is nicely browned off, we're ready to be able to add our tomato sauce. So now we're going to want the tomato sauce to cook down into our beef and all of those flavors to infuse together. So now what we're going to start off with, we're going to make a bechamel sauce. This is one of our 5 mother sauces, and this is our white sauce. And so from that we can make lots of derivative sauces off that too. But to start off with, we're going to take our softened butter and our flour and our milk, and we're going to combine those together in a special order so that we come out with a wonderful, rich, smooth sauce. So we're going to start off, we're going to take our softened butter, we're going to add that into our pan, and then we're going to have this on a moderate heat. We don't want to have it too high. We definitely don't want to burn our butter. We're just looking to melt it so that way when we add our flour in, it starts to create a roux. So this should come together as a nice sandy kind of a colored roux. But now we're going to be very careful not to overheat this roux. We want to keep this roux as a white roux, not as a blonde roux, as though we're making a veloute, one of our other mother sauces. So we're just going to cook the flour out literally just for a few minutes on a moderate heat so that we can start getting rid of some of that floury kind of flavor that's in there. But we're going to make sure that we're cooking it without any color to it. Always moderate that temperature. Now we have our roux. It's been cooked out nicely, but without any color, where we're moderating that temperature. I also have some milk right here. This has been warmed through, and now as you're warming it, you can actually add in a piece of onion in there with a clove and a bay leaf. We call it a studded onion. That can actually help to infuse more flavors through into the milk that we're then going to add in with our roux. And so now this is a critical moment, because all of the flour is now blooming, all of the starch that's in the flour is blooming out as we're actually starting to heat that through in our roux. We need to add this milk slowly, part at a time, to our roux. And we're going to stir that in. This is critical that we don't all add it all at the same time, otherwise it will become very lumpy. And so we're going to allow that to take in that amount of milk before we add the next batch. So when stirring this now, it almost has the texture of Play-Doh. So we're now going to add another amount of milk to this, about another quarter of that milk that we have here. We're going to gently stir this in, and again, the roux is now taking that milk on as well, without causing any lumps. So we want it to fully take in that milk before we carry on with the next batch. You see now it's more like mashed potatoes. Now we can add some more milk to the roux. And again, stirring in, carefully ensuring that it all mixes in without going lumpy at all. As you can see, it's resembling more like a sauce now, but still too thick. And now we're at the stage where we can finish off. We can add the remainder of our milk, Stir this all in, and then bring it up to a simmer. Now we have a wonderful, rich, creamy sauce. Now we can add some salt and some pepper. Now we have our bechamel sauce, one of our 5 mother sauces. Now we've allowed our bechamel sauce to cook out for a few more minutes. But be careful not to allow it to scorch on the bottom, because having the roux in there, that flour does have a tendency of burning, so just be careful to keep it moving. But so now that flour has cooked out, so we no longer have that floury taste in there of this wonderful rich sauce. We're going to make it even better now. So we're going to make this into a Mornay sauce. And so what we'll do, we'll actually add in our cheese, and we're going to add in an egg yolk, and that will make it into a Mornay. Now it's time for us to actually put our lasagna together and construct everything that we have. So I actually have purchased, for convenience sake, oven-ready pasta, the lasagna. Now this is really simple because I can actually just take this right out of the box, layer it up, and we bake it, and it's literally thin enough, then it's already been part cooked that we don't even have to worry about boiling it first. Now if you do buy the lasagna that is not oven-ready, then please pay attention to the instructions on the packet. You will need to boil that first. It's only for a few minutes, and don't overboil it, because remember, more cooking is going to occur when it's in the oven with all of the rest of the moisture in between the layers of the lasagna. But so for us today, we're going to start off the bottom of our pan that we have here, and this is an oven-proof dish, so be very careful, make sure that it's an oven-proof dish that you're using. We're going to spread out that first layer of our beef, our ground beef that we cooked down with our tomato sauce. Place that in there. And this is where we start with our leaves of pasta. So this one is perfectly made to fit 2 in right there. And so I'm going to add in another layer of meat. Now what I like to do here is add just a little layer of cheese, give a little richness in between, and then another layer of lasagna, and then we go one more layer of meat. You may be able to go higher with your dish, but just be careful, don't go too high. You don't want to brim this dish with all of the products we're going to add in here. If you do, what happens is while it's cooking, it does expand and it will bubble over. You can see where I actually have this placed on a baking sheet at the moment. There's a reason for that. I'm anticipating that I will have possibly a little bubble over. I definitely don't want that to be my next project where I have to clean my oven because of this one dish. And so we have that top layer of beef on here now. This is where we can take our Mornay sauce, nice and rich and good and smooth, no lumps in there. And we're going to nappe. We're going to coat the top layer so we completely encapsulate all of this wonderful richness with a good creamy topping. Be as generous as you can be without it going too high on the pot. This just tops everything off wonderfully. And now we can take a good generous portion of cheese and just coat the whole thing over. Always concentrate on the edges first, The center will take care of itself. And so now you can see we have this wonderful lasagna. It's all ready to go in the oven. The oven is set at 375, and all I'm going to do now, just to protect it for the first little while, I'm going to loosely place a piece of foil over the top. I don't want that cheese to brown quite yet, and so we're going to place that carefully into our oven. Make sure we don't spill any of that. And as you can see, now it's all starting to melt nicely. I've removed that piece of foil and we're going to let it continue to cook.